You are listening to Making Sense with Alison Blackler. Welcome to Making Sense. This is episode 26. We hope that you have enjoyed your Christmas, the build-up to Christmas, but obviously your Christmas day. And we hope that this episode will start your post-Christmas with the right kind of steps that you want. Now, we're in the studio here at Wirral Wave in the heart of Birkenhead, myself and George, but we're also joined by a very special guest, Angie Taylor from Fit for All Wirral. Welcome.
Hi, thank you, Alison, for having me.
You're welcome. So I wanted to bring Angie in at this point because getting moving, I think, is the hot topic for as soon as Christmas is gone. So I think we need to think about the challenges of getting fit, getting moving, why it's so difficult, and then maybe start to think about how do we do it? That dreaded get fit after Christmas. So Angie runs an amazing fit boot camp, which I am part of, pleased to say. And she's got lots and lots of tips that we can talk about, some of the challenges, some of the traps that people fall into. But first of all, tell everyone a little bit more about you.
Okay, so my name's Angie and I've, as we've just said, run Fit for All Wirral. I've been an instructor for nearly 15 years. The reason I got into it was, without trying to alienate myself from people, because I do love exercise and I know there's people out there who think they absolutely hate it. So don't switch off at this point and think I can't relate to her. I did love exercise, but I had kids and suddenly I realised I didn't have the time to work and do exercise. I couldn't seem to justify it to myself at the time, and I thought a way around that would be to get myself qualified and I could work part-time and teach part-time, and that's where it all started for me. It was a means to an end at the beginning, and then once I started to teach, the passion just grew and I developed and learnt what I liked the most out of exercise. I taught for the council for a long time, I still do, and then I started my own classes about 7 years ago and they've just gone from strength to strength, and we train outdoors, which is a completely different feel to anything else I've ever done before.
And I have to say, it really is, because for me, personally, I have done all sorts of different exercises over the years, all sorts of different sports over the years, and it almost feels a privilege that we're actually utilising the outside, even in the winter.
Yeah, it's not wasted at all, is it? It's beautiful. I mean, autumn. I think autumn is one of the nicest times to train outdoors. Okay, you step outside, it's a little bit cold, but we layer up. So you never have that feeling of being too hot that you can have in the summer. And the autumn time is just beautiful. Where we train, the different places that we're able to train, there's just something that's magical about your surroundings that you just have to take it in, breathe it in, and it's beautiful.
You really do. And that almost in itself is part of the therapy, for want of a better word, isn't it?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Right, let's have a little tune and then we can kind of plan the rest of our chat. So Angie has picked all the tunes today, which is brilliant. So what are we going to start with?
Okay, so this is U2 with A Beautiful Day. I actually quite like to play this one in the class just to remind us all of what a beautiful day it is. Thank you.
The heart is a balloon, shoots up through the stony ground. There's no room, no space to rent in this town. You're out of luck, and the reason that you had to care, the traffic is stuck, and you're not moving anywhere. tuna fleets clearing the sea out. See the bedroom fires at night. See the oil fields at first light. And see the bird with a leaf in her mouth. After the flood, all the colors came out. It was a beautiful day. Don't let it get away. Beautiful day. Touch me. Take me to that other place. Release me. I know I'm not a hopeless case. What you don't have, you don't need it now. What you don't know, you can feel it somehow. What you don't have, you don't need it now. Don't need it now. Was a beautiful day.
Brilliant. Welcome back. Nice bit of you two there to get us started. Okay, so let's think about this challenge that so many people find themselves in around exercise. They can be doing it for all sorts of things, but I think exercise is usually the one that people are saying, I know I need to do something, I should be doing something, and then they don't, and then they feel bad, and then they beat themselves up, and then they wonder why they feel rubbish. So I think this whole, procrastination, I always say, is like a thief of time. If you're doing it, you're just thieving your own time in your head, but you're also probably affecting anything else that you're doing. So one of the things that I think, it sounds a bit counterintuitive, but I think we need to decide. So if you're not going to go and do some exercise, just decide you're not going to go. Would you agree, Angie?
Yeah, just think about something else, because like you say, you're just beating yourself up. You're making yourself feel worse about it. I see it all the time. People will message me. I've had people message me for up to 2 years. They're desperate to come. They commit to come in, and then they don't. And it breaks my heart, to be honest, because I know it's taking courage for them to come back and ask me again, can they come? Because everybody's always welcome to my class. And I know it's taken them the courage. And I know that they really want to be there. But they've got these hurdles that they keep putting in the place to stop them. And then I know that they'll be beating themselves up, that they haven't come. And I don't chase people up on it, because I don't want to be the person who feels like I'm whipping people to get them there. But I know that they'd love it if they could just get there.
That's it, isn't it? It's getting over that
step.
hurdle. But I think before we start about how we get moving, we need to start with, if you're doing that thing where you're wishing and thinking, I should, and you're not, for whatever reason, and especially if you've got a valid reason, let's just stop.
Stop beating yourself up.
So let's stop that now. So even if you can't get moving for whatever reason, let's just pause and not do that. So that's for those people. If you're one of these people who needs to push themselves and needs to get over that hurdle, let's have a think about some of the hurdles that people put in the way for exercise. What would you say?
Well, I'd also like to say as well, people seem to think that exercise is going to a gym, jumping around, making themselves hot and sweaty. Now, I know that's what I can do with people, but that's not what they need to do. 25-30 minutes of walking a day is enough. You can put a big tick in that box. If you're not doing anything, if you can just get yourself to walk a nice fast, at whatever's fast to you, walk 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day, you can put a tick in that box. Okay. Getting outside and walking is one of the best things that people can actually do for themselves and for their mental health. And it might just make people realise they can find that bit of time as well.
I love that. And I think the other thing about that is it removes some of the barriers that people put in the way around going to a gym, the money that costs, all those things. Yeah. So literally just getting moving, walking is a starter.
Yeah. And giving themselves that 20 minutes, set some time to yourself. I mean, we all do this, and I'm guilty as everybody else of saying you're going to do something at the beginning of the day and you wake up and you mean to, and as the day goes on, You've sat down, you've drank a cup of tea. Before you know it, you've put something on the telly and you've sat and watched an hour's worth of TV that was rubbish. It's finding those times and making a commitment to say, that's what I do, that's not what I'm going to do. So I'm not going to have that cup of tea until I've gone and done that 20-minute walk. Yeah. And then I'm coming and have that cup of tea. Just making small little changes that you commit to. And that is the biggest key, is make it a routine. One of the things I think people don't do is, if they've got kids, they make routine about the kid does this on a Monday night, they do this on a Tuesday night, Thursday night. Regardless of what's going on, the kids get taken to these places. But adults make a commitment to themselves. They drop it far too quickly because they're not important. And that's how they see themselves.
No, you're right. And I think they falling down on that pecking order, so to speak, is it's just so. And that commitment to yourself, even if you're not in a pecking order, and even if you're just somebody who hasn't got children and hasn't got all those commitments, it's just so easy to just be busy with other things, isn't it? Again, I'm working a lot with businesses, people in business, and they're very busy, huge deadlines, pressure, and actually no time for them. And then they wonder why they're burning out. Yeah. They wonder why they are tired. And I'm always urging people to move away from that desk and go and have that walk, or go and, we'll talk about what else is on offer. Do that and you will feel fresher.
They will. They'll tell you they'll come back more energised and ready to go. And often on a walk, it gives you time to have a think about other thoughts that you keep putting to the back of your mind. You come back feeling more positive and realise you need to tick a few of them things off. And because your mindset's changed, you do it. Yeah.
Love that. So I think we need to put some energy or some thought now onto the old cliche of everyone starts in January and then can't keep it going.
And actually, over my years, I've found that people start in February because I think everybody thinks it's going to be dead busy. Everyone starts in January. I don't want to go, and everybody's there. And people don't necessarily start in January. They set themselves the resolution that they're going to start, and then you'll find actually they don't come because they're too nervous. It's took a bit more building, and February starts to pick up.
Brilliant. Okay, so we're all aiming for February.
No, aim for January. You'll be surprised it's not that busy. Yeah.
Because I think, again, something else that you probably can put some content on is the gym culture.
Yeah.
I've been to many gyms over the years, and, there are times where I know people feel intimidated. I know that whole process of, I've heard people literally say, I'm not fit enough to join a gym. How can you even put those two things together? Yeah. Surely the whole point is you're going because you're not fit.
Yeah, you are going because you're not fit, but I completely get that. I even, as a fitness instructor who's been in gyms, I still feel intimidated when I walk into a new gym. You don't know where anything is. We all are creature of habits, and we all like to know exactly what we're doing. We don't want to look like we don't understand or we look stupid, anything that we do. So the idea of walking into an environment where everything is brand new to you and you don't know where you are, I think that's the good thing about a class is that is taken out of your hands. As soon as you walk into a class, the instructor takes over. She directs you, or he directs you into everything you're doing, and you just have to follow. I understand the nervousness about that as well. But with a gym, if you can find a gym buddy so that you've got somebody alongside you just to chat to, but you're never too unfit for the gym, because the pieces of equipment in the gym, if you're shown properly how to use them, they are for everybody. They are.
Yeah. I think it's so important. And I think something that you've hinted there, which I know is my motivator, is other people. Mm-hmm. How we use other people. If you promise yourself you're going to go to the gym or do some exercise after work, and you just promise yourself, there's a chance that might get dropped if you've made an arrangement with somebody else. And that's why I know we're going to talk about the success of your class. If you make an arrangement with somebody else, there's a lesser chance, and that is a thing. That's a thing in our minds. We don't want to let each other down. We are much more likely to go and push ourselves when someone else is involved.
Yeah, and I feel like you said, we'll talk about it, but when you've committed to something, like often I'll send a message out to the group, who's coming tonight, and I'll do it nice and early so that it doesn't give people the chance to start feeling tired or whatever, or the night before, and then the commitment's made, people will set their alarms and the decision's made for them before the day takes over, before they start to feel tired. Because I know, and Alison knows, that it doesn't matter how tired you are when you turn up for a class. You feel so much better by the time you leave that class.
Oh, honestly, I can't tell you how smug I feel when I'm on my way home at 7:15 in the morning, having done 40 minutes
Yeah.
of exercise with an amazing group of people. And we, obviously we can talk a bit more about that in a moment. So I think we need another little tune. What have we got this time?
Okay, so we've got Walking on Sunshine next.
Thank you for tuning in to Making Sense with Alison Blackler.
Welcome back. Bit of Katrina and the Waves there. I love a bit of that. I can't remember what year that's from, but it's quite an old tune.
Old one.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, let's have a little think about some of the, coming back to a few of the challenges, why people find it difficult to get going. And again, one of the things I hear people say is time.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing I hear people say is where they've got a goal and it's almost too big.
Yeah.
They want to run a marathon. Yeah, great. But what their focus is not on the small chunks and the kind of how you would get there. Yeah. So I think it'd be really good for us to talk about some of the things you hear, Angie, some of the experiences that you've got around those two things. So let's look at time first. That relationship we all have with time. How many times do we hear ourselves saying, I haven't got time, haven't got enough time? It's almost a concept in your mind, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think it's not that you haven't actually got the time, it's that you're feeling too tired for exercise. So this is why I think when you say you feel quite smug when you've got up and you've done that class at that time in the morning, it's not affected your day. And I know there's going to be people out there who still, it's not early enough for, they've got to be with the kids. So it's not for everyone, and I know that. But I'd say 90% of the class feel smug when they're finished and we all go bye. And we know we've just worked really hard and it's not affected the rest of our day. We can get on with the rest of our day with a big tick. We haven't got to think about it later that evening. And you think, oh, I'd have still been in bed, but I'm not. I'm up and I've done that. And you go away feeling ready to take on the world. So time, I think, is one of those things that we're able to stretch and move when it suits us. But because often exercise, you feel like you need that energy to be able to do it. If you don't feel like you've got that energy, you think you can't do it. And it's not true. It actually is the other way around. The exercise will give your body energy, will give your mind energy. So making it just, that's the routine, that's what you do at that time. You can find the time for it. As I say, we all sit on the sofa probably and watch probably on average 2 hours of rubbish TV a day. That you could turn that off and just move. Just move, but put some music on in your house.
So it's all about priorities then, isn't it,
Yeah.
really? So this is this thing about people saying they haven't got time. You know, and lots of people are very, very busy. We know that. But what are you putting your attention on? What are you using your time up? And are there spaces in your day that you could shift from, like you say, from social media or watching
social
TV?
media,
And do some stretching
People are
or
lost
something.
on social media, aren't they, with time? You know, they'll suddenly realise they've been on their phone for an hour. And has it brought them anything good? No.
Possibly not. And I think something that I'm often mindful of is I hear people who are going on there to then compare themselves to others, because then they might see that people are on doing things and they're not. And again, it's no point.
No, there's definitely no point of comparing yourself. I think that's what stops people always from coming to a class, is because straight away they have an idea in their head of what everybody else is going to be like. They never see people from a starting point. People who do come to my class and come and talk to me will say, oh, but I've seen that person can do this, and I can see that person does that. Because people always go to what the best person is doing. They never notice everybody else who's struggling, and that then fits into, well, other people aren't noticing you when you're struggling, other than seeing that people are putting in the effort. That's what the group sees, that people are working hard and they're putting in the effort. People always compare themselves to somebody that they say who is the best at it, and it's just dangerous. And also they don't see the path and how that person got to where they are either, so they haven't seen the years that might well have took. Or it might just be natural to some people, but we're not all the same. You know, we've all got different lives, different commitments, and it's dangerous to compare yourself.
It really is. I mean, it is in any walk of life, whether it's, you know, here we're talking about fitness, but for me, I hear people comparing themselves to others in all sorts of different parts of their lives, and we're not the same. So we're not comparing like for like. You know, you can be a bit aspirational and look at somebody and think, wow, I'd like to aspire to be a little bit more like that, if that's a motivator for you. But if it's not, then it's not going to work.
I'm always shocked as well by how little people see of themselves, of what they're actually achieving. People will often say things to me like, I'd like to be as good as that person. And I'm like, there's other people in the group who are looking at you as that person, but people just don't see it, because they're always too busy looking at everybody else around them and not really realising or not seeing their improvements. But that's with goals, small goals over a short time, and be really specific with goals is the key.
Yeah.
And
I think it's that if we link that to time and think that to getting going, you know, people again think they've got to have, you know, 2 hours to go to the gym and all these things, and it isn't, is it? It's you know, 10 minutes getting started, doing something that gets you going.
Yeah,
and I think
3
again,
times a week. Set yourself 3 times a week just to go for a walk for 10 minutes. Yeah.
And build it up.
Build it up.
Yeah.
If you're not doing that at the moment, then that's your goal. Start off really, really small. Give yourself a time scale. Say, I want it for the next month. Doesn't have to be really fast. And if you feel like you can fit more in, but again, people push themselves really, really fast at the beginning and set themselves ridiculously hard, you know, goals, and then are really disappointed. They haven't reached them. They're disappointed. They give up and they feel a failure, and they feel worse than they did before they even started, when everybody else around them will have seen what great things they have achieved, but because they hadn't met a goal, to them it was pointless.
Yeah. And there lies the sort of trap that people fall into, is they maybe set themselves too great an expectation. It doesn't work because they've set it too high. They feel rubbish, and so we go on. And this would be, you know, again, we haven't talked so much about a kind of food and weight loss and things like that yet, but I think, you know, again, it falls into that category, doesn't it? You know, fitness and what you're putting in your mouth, what you're putting in your body.
I mean, I treat the two as completely different things. Your weight loss and your exercise are okay, you've got to use both if you're wanting to lose some weight. But for me, exercise is about how it makes me feel. And that's, if you're just coming to me just because you want to lose weight, then you're not really getting what the benefits of exercise are for. The benefits of exercise are about how good they really make you feel. And I genuinely feel sad for people who think they can't find anything that suits them. And an awful lot of them, it goes right back to even being in school, because they hated PE in school. And that's it for them. They've written off exercise as being something that makes them feel horrible. They don't like it. And yeah, I find it really sad, because I feel like they're missing out on such a amazing drug, basically, that they can get for free.
What's your thoughts on people being able to do, follow a class at home, for example? So for some people, maybe they don't want to come out, or they don't feel they can come out.
Yeah, I think whatever form you can find of exercise that can suit you and you can work around it is great. And everybody is different. Some people don't like the idea of being in big groups of people. Personally, for me, because through lockdown we did some Zoom classes and they didn't work as great. They kept us going and there was something, but you miss out on that camaraderie that you get with the other women being around you. Also, because now we're used to being outside, being inside. However, any form of exercise that you can do that makes you feel better, don't punish yourself with exercise. People punish themselves. It shouldn't be about that. It should be a reward. It should be something really that you look forward to. And Alison will say at 6:30 in the morning, she might not well be looking forward to it, but by the end of it, she's ready for the next class. Yeah. And she's sad then when she can't make the next class, because she knows how that set her up for the day and how that's made her feel. And it does. It releases all different types of feel-good hormones that I think an awful lot of people are lacking. I've got a daughter. I've got 2 teenage daughters, and one of them absolutely hates exercise. I think because I'm her mum and I'm desperate for her to do it, it's not helped the situation. So I totally get why people think they don't like exercise. But with her, it's just been a case of saying, there's so many different types you can do. Don't give up on it. Definitely. Don't. Just try a different class, a different group. And online, there's so much they can do. Just go and try a few different classes.
I think then it might feel a little bit less daunting for some to just try. And I'm sure, people have had a look at some of these classes that are out there on...
There's definitely a purpose for them and a use,
on YouTube. I remember doing one, I think in lockdown, and I really went for it. And the next day I couldn't walk.
And also it might build people's confidence up to see that they can do stuff to join a proper class.
So tell us a bit more. We've hinted a lot about your class, your boot camp. Why is it so successful?
Because I think nobody takes themselves seriously at all. We're very much about everybody pushes themselves to where they feel they want to push themselves. However, as a group, there's just great support. There's great laughter. We're always having a little bit of a laugh, even to the point where I have to tell you all off quite often to pay attention and listen to me. Because if I give you a couple of seconds, they're all off talking. But the support that is there, and it's always been there. We have a little WhatsApp group. We just feel like a community, to the point of just recently I needed blinds, didn't I, for my kitchen. I put a message up, and within seconds I've been recommended to blinds. It's just little things like that make you feel like you're part of a group of women who actually care about each other. And I feel like the group has always took that role on, almost as like a group of mothers. Whenever we get a new person, if they can see that new person's a little bit nervous, the group, just naturally try to include that person and make that person feel part of something. Yeah, I'd almost go as far as say we're a bunch of misfits in one sense, that we've all got these completely different ways about us and our quirky little ways, but we come into this little pot and we just mix together well. And the pot has changed over the years,
sure,
but it just keeps developing and developing into what it is today.
And it's lovely because each time you meet somebody different, you might paired up with somebody different, and you get to, not that we can chat for long, but you might get to know a little tiny weeny bit about someone, because we're all from different sort of walks of life. We don't really know, you turn up at 6:30 in the morning or in the evening. And at this time of year it's dark, and you don't know loads about each other. You're all there in your hats, gloves and scarves kind of thing. And then, you know, you find out little things about people, and it is, you know, as a person in that group, I, you know, completely agree with everything that you're saying about the community and the support. You know, if somebody says they can't come because they're not well, it's like a flock of people sending little heart icons or whatever. It's just lovely. It really is lovely. But I think you know, for me, thinking about how people behave, the mind, why we are like we are, it is around that connection that, you know, you want to go because somebody's going to be there who is going to give you a smile, make you feel good. You know, you get to know people's names, it's very powerful.
And the instructor chases you down when you don't come for a couple of weeks.
And there's that. When you get the message from Angie, who's coming, it's like you're being called. It's like you're being called.
I also think, though, people are still glad to be outdoors. So I think that is a good point as well. If you've been in work all day and you've been indoors, going into a gym or into a studio, I still think is not an appealing you know, idea to a lot of people. So the fact that we are outside, some of us don't get to go outside if it wasn't for turning up to a class, and even if it's freezing cold. I mean, people will say to me, one of our friends, Rachel, was like, I'm not a winter person, I'm not going to be there when it's cold and it's wet. Well, she's been there.
She has.
And as long as you layer up, you know, put gloves on, put a hat on, you can take it all off as you get hot.
Sure.
Yeah, just do it.
Big shout out for Rachel,
Yeah.
because it's thanks to Rachel that I'm in your group.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have our next tune. Angie, what have you chosen this time?
I think we went for Craig David with Ain't Giving Up.
Brilliant tune. Okay, enjoy.
When you're so in love, sometimes you gotta take a chance to break through. And when the world is not enough, that's what gives you everything or breaks you. Feeling empty, feel used. It's like we're running on fumes. A little broken, confused. But one thing I know for sure, ain't giving up on you. Ain't giving up on you. Ain't giving up on you. Ain't giving up on you.
Welcome back. If you are just tuning in, you're missing out because we are here talking with Angie Taylor from Fit for All Wirral, and we're talking about getting moving, which it's now post-Christmas, and it's probably the hot topic for most people is they've eaten too much, they've drank too much, they've sat around too much, and they need to get moving. So we've been talking about how to do that. And I think it's important for us to just think about some ideas around setting some small goals and making them realistic.
Yeah. So without needing to pay out to see a personal trainer, people can easily set themselves goals at home, and I'd recommend that you write them down. Instructors in lots of fields like personal trainers and nutritionists will tell you to do what we call as SMART goals. So those initials from the SMART stand for the specific. So be really specific on what you're aiming for. You've got then measurable. So how is it measurable? Don't just set a goal and then not know how at the end you're going to tell whether you've achieved it or you haven't.
So is that things like your weight or your dress size?
It could be weight, it could be dress size. If it's fitness, it could just be that you want to be how would you measure that you've got any fitter? So you'd have to have like often we'll do, not that often, but we do occasionally do fitness tests, and then we'll revisit that so we can see if we can do. So if you were just walking for that first time, go out for a walk, put your watch on for 10 minutes, see how far you get.
Yeah.
And then say, okay, in a month's time, or write how you felt. I felt out of breath. Did I enjoy it? Things like that you can look back at and you can actually see a difference. And then set a time, a month. But also, as you're getting closer to that target time, if you don't feel like you're achieving, move the time on. Don't beat yourself up because you're going to get to that and then go, well, it didn't work. Just move that time on and have a little look at what you could tweak. So if I'd set myself a goal of I'm going to walk 3 times a week for 15 minutes, and at the end of 2, so the other thing, so yeah, it's got to be achievable and it's got to be relevant what the goal is, and you've got to put a time in. So they're the keys to it. But if you're getting closer to that time and you realise you're not going to achieve it, you can either extend the time or look at what you can change. Why aren't you going to achieve it? See if there's any small little tweaks. Again, like if you weren't losing the weight, have a little look at what you think still on that diet that you're eating that you think you could change. I know often it can be the smallest of things. Like if I want to get out 3 times a week for that walk for 15 minutes and I want to be able to walk that a little bit quicker, but I'm not getting any quicker, I'd have to look, well, why don't I extend the time? Can I do 20 minutes now? I'm going to start doing 20 minutes. Now, walking can be, people do this with running, you can do it with walking, where you're going to walk, use the lamppost. Fartlek, it's called. Have you heard of that before? So it's where you'd say, I'm going to walk slow from one lamppost to another, and then I'm going to go fast, and I'm going to get my heart rate up. Then I'm going to go nice and slow. Now, that could be measurable. You could say, I'm going to do 2 lampposts, then 1 lamppost, and I'm going to get my heart rate up. There's always a way, and even if you need to speak to somebody like somebody like me, I'm always happy to give people advice. If anybody ever wants to get in touch with me, people will often get in touch with me to say they don't think they're fit enough. And there's never really been anybody that's come to my class that I've had to turn away because of fitness. Injuries, people, I will say to people, please let me know if you've got injuries. But fitness-wise, no. We've got a woman who comes at the moment, and I won't embarrass her with her name, but nearly said it. She's just celebrated her 70th with us.
Woohoo.
Exactly. And she's amazing. She's amazing. And Alison probably doesn't know, but before she'd come to my class, she hadn't done anything for years. You wouldn't know it, would you?
No, you wouldn't.
And she was really nervous that she wouldn't be able to keep up with the group. She still apologises sometimes but that's just in her. Again, that's because she compares herself to everybody else. But she's amazing. She absolutely really amazing. And she put off for about a year coming to the group. Yeah, because of those worries.
And it is a thing then, isn't it? It's in your head. You're not doing it. And this is what we want to try and help people. Whatever it is, whatever exercise you want to do, finding that peace almost in your own mind that you can come and do it.
What's lovely is there's a lot more things I think now out there than like the walking football. Have you seen that for older people or people who've got injuries? You've got walking football. So you've still got that team. You've got, I think it's walking netball and things like that, or back to netball. So, you could have women who played netball 40 years ago in school, knew they loved it, never managed to find another team. But there's things out there now like this walking football. And it's just a way of being out, having fun and socialising again. I mean, walking football is brilliant because I think you get a good time for men to chat. Men don't do that type of thing, do they?
Sure.
So, and the internet, just look things up. If there was something you enjoyed doing, see if there's anything
See if there's
about
an alternative. Because when I worked in the NHS, a thing became a thing, chair exercise.
Yeah,
You know, people were being prescribed
yeah.
chair
Just for
exercise.
mobility.
So you were doing something, but not necessarily. Because again, I think we need to move away from this idea that we're all going to be jumping around all over the place and, all running marathons. You know, again, let's be realistic about whatever it is that your goal is.
Yes, aqua aerobics is another brilliant one. So if you are feeling that your fitness isn't quite there, or you've got an injury to some part, your mobility isn't great, aqua aerobics I can't speak highly enough about. It's brilliant for all of those reasons. And also, over my years of watching it, again, you get a build-up of a community with aqua aerobics in the pool. So there's another option for men and women both to join in there.
And again, I think like you said earlier, it's about finding something that you enjoy, whatever that might be.
It's got to be fun. You've got to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Music as well. Good music is what will get you through a good class as well.
Definitely. And some of the tunes you play definitely are. Get you moving, get you thinking. In fact, some of them now, I hear them and I seem to be taking myself back to those
Into a
already.
class. Start doing jacks.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm driving the car and I'm trying to do something. Brilliant. So let's have a little chat about the different kind of exercises part of your week, because you've got quite a packed timetable. But what I love about it is different each class, different sort of
setup.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So we've got a kind of a timetable with a bit of a structure to it, just so that you roughly know what you would come in for. So in case there's a certain class that you don't particularly like. So we have classes which are with a bit of boxing involved. We do a little bit of pad work with a partner. But again, it's all a little bit about fun. Nobody's there to really turn into Rocky. We're doing it for a little bit of fun, and we're doing it with a bit of music. And again, it's actually a good way of socialising and having a little bit of a laugh, because often everyone's coordination is shocking. But that's part of the fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's part of the fun is everyone's getting it wrong, and I'm the bad-tempered instructor going, oh my days, there's no one listening. I don't really shout. But it does, I think all of that, the fact that people are able to laugh at themselves is what makes the group more fun. So we do that a couple of times a week. And again, it's all quite flexible, really. It depends on which people turn up, how I feel the class is going to best suit the people that are in the group. Then we have a class that is more like a legs, bums and tums. And this is the only class in the winter that we take inside. And that's purely so that we can still get down on a mat. And it's a much gentler class. I always say it's a much gentler class, but the class always disagree on Wednesday morning when they wake up and they're a little bit achy. So we do tend to do things more which are we can be on the mats, and so it's a much gentler, as in your heart rate's not up as high. Then we have a class which is, we call it our boot camp, and it's like a circuit class. There's just masses of equipment that we can change. You can partner up, we can do it in a group. And there's just tons of equipment, and I think the equipment is fun. It's quite good fun, and any fitness would be all right with it. You just take it at your own pace, and I think that's a really good thing about a circuit is, even if you're with a partner, for that first time being with the partner, they'll always be able to guide you, be nice, but you take it at your own pace. Alison's been coming for, how long have you been coming?
Since August.
Since August. Say you were doing 30 seconds of an exercise, Alison might be able to get 20 in, you might get 5 in. Doesn't matter. Yeah. It really doesn't matter. As long as your form is good, which I'm able to check, and you're enjoying it, we don't care. We just want you there. So that's one of the classes. We have things like balls that we slam on the floor. Now, they're always good fun to get rid of any anger you've got. We have battle ropes, which again helps get rid of a little bit of aggression if you've got any. And then a Thursday morning, this is the one I think is the hardest one. This is our HIIT, so which stands for high intensity interval training. And it's a hard one, but again, at any level can do it. 30 seconds to me is 30 seconds to you. You do what you can do in that 30 seconds, regardless of what the class is. I'll show you the exercise and you do it as many times as you can in that 30 seconds. And I'll also show you an easier option. So the title sounds really quite daunting, but in fact, it doesn't have to be. And the good thing about winter, which we haven't properly touched upon, it's dark. It's dark. No one can see you. It's great for that. We're in like this special little group, aren't we? We're in like a secret group of crazy women who get up in the morning to go and train in the dark. I do want to put that you can see enough. You can see enough, yeah.
And sometimes the mornings are so beautiful, aren't they? That
Yeah.
literally even in the winter, there's sometimes the sun.
Like when the sun coming up.
The sun is coming up and the skies are stunning. And I think, you know, this is this thing about where you put your attention. If you feel like you are making the best out of your day, then obviously you're going to feel good. And if you are the opposite to that, then you're going to feel not so good.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, we're not all saying that everyone has to start their day like this, but where you can feel like you have made the best of your day, whatever that might look like, then obviously you are going to feel good.
Yeah.
And you are going to be able to probably be more motivated to do more.
Yeah, start you off the right way. Definitely.
But I think one of the things that I'm always going on about is whatever it is that you're doing, whatever effort you put in, let's not focus too much on the results. Let's focus on the effort that you have put in, on the small steps that you're doing, the fact that you've done it, the fact that you got up and went for a walk. Celebrate that. Let your mind know that you are happy with that.
Yeah, you've achieved.
Even if you don't do it the next day, but then you can move on and find it again. It's so, so important.
Yeah, it's not to beat yourself up. I think we're in a culture where we just beat ourselves up for not achieving things and not being the same as everybody else. But yeah, small steps. It's definitely the way.
Yeah. And that leads me on nicely to thinking about the journal that I've recently published, which helps us to pause. And it kind of sets your intentions for the day. So you might do it the night before. There's a few areas where you could put in what you plan to do for the next day. And it's not your to-do list, it's your intention. So you might have an intention to go for a nice walk. You might have an intention to drink more water or whatever it is, something that's for you. And then at the end of the day, or during the day, you can pause for what you have, what your wins are, what you have achieved. And almost everything that we're talking about, I can just imagine populating this journal with all of these tiny little things that you're doing that are just in the right direction to build up your resilience, build up your inner strength and feel better.
Yeah, that you can achieve.
Yeah.
Because I think what people will often say, especially when it's like diet, is I've got no willpower. As if it's something that you magically own or you don't have. You either have willpower or you don't. And they look at other people and think, well, they've got willpower. It's not that. It's that you've beat yourself up that many times that you now start to believe that you can't succeed. And you can. It is just those small steps.
Yeah. And it is that whatever you think you can. Whether you think you can or you can't.
You can.
You're right.
You can.
But you're right. I mean, I think this is the trick that we can all, you know, this, I'm always saying, this powerful piece of kit that we've all got in this head of ours will have us doing whatever it is that you really want, but focused often on what we don't want.
Yeah.
So I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to feel miserable. I don't want to be late. I don't want to feel unfit. That means your attention is on all the things that you don't want. Whereas if we switch that over and think about the things that we do want, we've got a greater chance of changing it.
And that's why I do think you've got to commit. That the people who succeed are people who have made a commitment. It's not that they've got a stronger willpower. It's almost like they've committed to something themselves, whatever. And they don't think about it from that point. It's almost like it's been written down, like in your journal. So if it's there, it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a promise to yourself, isn't it?
Yeah.
So many people don't make promises to themselves, or if they do, they break them and then they do the self.
Yeah.
They feel rubbish. And I think that's the bit that we need to kind of change up. Make it realistic. Make it tangible for you and then get started.
Yeah. Instead of seeing it as you failed, you see it as you learn from it. So I didn't make the gym today. Why didn't I make the gym today? Was there something happened earlier in the day? So try and take it as a way that you learn, well, next time that happens, I'll change this and I'll get to the gym that day.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, not self-beating if you don't get there, but celebrating if you do.
Yeah.
And there can be anything. The gym, a class, a walk,
glass of water.
A glass
Drink
of
more water, everyone.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's always on my radar as well. Okay, Angie, tell everyone where they can find you, because obviously we've shared, for those that are living on the Wirral, an amazing collection of people who come together. Where can they find you?
So I'm based in Bebington, at Bebington Civic Centre, outside where the doctor's practice is. We move around a little bit, but if you just get in touch with me on Facebook. So I am Fit for All. I think on Facebook I'm Fit for All Wirral or Fit for All Bebington. My name's, I think, have you said my name, Angie?
Yep.
Angie Taylor. So if you just look us up on there, send me an email. We've got one class that's in the morning, and then the rest of the classes, we're just in Bebington by the Civic Centre. We move around slightly, but not very far from there.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And if anyone can't find you, they can message me or message George and I, and we can signpost if anyone
So for
fancies.
January then, I'd like to offer anybody that gets in touch with you or me through listening to this, a reduced rate, so 50% off for January.
Wow, that's brilliant.
Yeah, so if money is your issue, it's not now.
Oh, well,
So
no
I think
excuse.
that would be about £15 for as many classes as you wanted through January.
Yeah, because that is, I mean, even what your full price, Angie, is incredible if you get yourself there to a number of classes.
See, that's another reason I do keep the prices low as I can, because I'd hate to think anybody didn't come just because they can't afford it. And
And it is a barrier, isn't it?
Yeah.
But one which hopefully this gives us a solution.
a little
to
get
it.
out, yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so just before we come to our last tune, I just want to tell you a little bit about our next episode. And we have got Claire Morton, who used to run or present a show on Wirral Wave. So Claire's coming back with her colleague Jules Kelly, and they run a business called Space and Freedom. And I'm not actually quite sure what we're going to talk about yet, but they've got loads to share. So I think it'll be lovely for Claire to be back here in the studio, but as a guest rather than as a presenter. So hopefully that will be something that we can all look forward to. Okay, so I think it's about time we finish with our last tune. Oh, we've got 2 tunes. Oh, sorry.
We're going to do a little bit of jump. This is always one that you might get in a class if you come to a class, and it'll give you lots of energy. Put it on in the kitchen and just have a little dance. And then we're going to finish with Gold. And always believe in your soul, people.
Love it. So we're going to finish with 2 songs to give you, hopefully, like Angie says, permission to have a little dance round, feel good. Remember, music is so powerful. No matter how you're feeling, you can just switch on that music and just have a little jig around. It's so powerful. So we are going to leave you with those 2 tunes. Thank you so much for listening in. Thanks to George as ever for the production of this show. Thank you to Wirral Wave for the opportunity. We will leave you with these tunes. Thanks most importantly to yourselves for listening in. And in the meantime, be kind to yourself. Bye for now.
I get up Thank you for coming home. Sorry that the chairs are all warm. I left them here, I could have sworn. These are my salad days, slowly being eaten away. Just another play for today. Oh, but I'm proud of you, but I'm proud of you. Nothing left to make me feel small. Luck has left me standing so tall. Gold home, always believe in your soul. You've got the power to know you're indestructible. Always believe it, 'cause you are gold. Like that you're bound to return. There's something I could have learned. You're indestructible. Always believe it. After the rush has gone, I hope you find a little more time. Remember we were partners in crime. It's only 2 years ago, the man with the suit and the face, who knew that he was there on the case. Now he's in love with